In our first episode, we saw how the British Parliament reached into the colonists' pockets, demanding money without offering a voice. But by 1773, the friction wasn't just about cash, it was about dignity and the sacred right of a free man to control his own property. The unrest wasn't just about money, it was a furious demand for dignity and self-rule. By 1773, Parliament had backed down on most taxes, but on one thing, they remained utterly defiant: tea. The British government insisted that all tea be purchased from the East India Company and that a small, visible tax must be paid. To the colonists, this was the ultimate symbol of British arrogance, a constant, humiliating reminder that they could be ruled without their consent. The principle was everything: no taxation without representation. The powerful East India Company was facing ruin. To save it, Parliament passed the Tea Act, making the company's tea so cheap that even with the tax included, it undercut all local American merchants. The trap was set. If the colonists accepted this cheap tea, they would implicitly accept Parliament's eternal right to tax them. They saw this not as a savings, but as a poison that would destroy their liberty. The situation was intensely personal, thanks to one man, Governor Thomas Hutchinson. This wasn't just a political battle for him. His own sons were tea agents, and he was absolutely rigid in his loyalty to the crown. The colonists saw him as the very symbol of royal tyranny in Massachusetts. His personal stubbornness, mixed with Parliament's overreach, became the fuse that would light the bomb. By late November, 3 ships, the Dartmouth, Eleanor, and Beaver, packed with nearly 340 chests of tea, had arrived in Boston. Time was running out. Governor Hutchinson issued a final unyielding command: the tea must be unloaded before Christmas, or the cargo would be seized by customs. On December 16th, an extraordinary crowd of 7,000 colonists, the largest political gathering Boston had ever seen, crammed into the Old South Meeting House. They had pursued every legal channel to stop the landing, but the governor was immovable. As the cold, dark evening descended, the massive crowd waited in absolute silence for the final word. Then Samuel Adams rose to his feet. His face grim and resolved, he declared a single, powerful sentence: "This meeting can do nothing more to save the country." That was the signal. The silence shattered. Cheers and war whoops erupted. Cries rang out across the meeting hall. "Huzzah! To the harbor! Boston Harbor a teapot tonight!" A highly disciplined group of around 150 men, artisans, merchants, and laborers, sprinted toward the docks. They were disguised as Mohawk Indians, a deliberate and powerful symbolic act, signaling that they were acting not as subjects of the British Crown, but as true Americans. Their instructions were clear and absolute: do not loot, do not steal, do not harm the crew, destroy only the tea. For 3 intensive hours in the icy darkness, they worked methodically. Chests of tea were split open with axes, and then one by one, over 46 tons of the precious cargo were hurled into the Black Harbor water. When the task was complete, the men vanished back into the night, leaving behind nothing but the strong, pungent smell of ruined tea. The British response was not one of negotiation, but of vengeance. Parliament viewed the Boston Tea Party as a catastrophic assault on its sovereign authority. They quickly passed a series of punitive laws that the colonists instantly dubbed the Intolerable Acts. These acts were designed to crush Boston and make an undeniable example of them. The centerpiece was the Boston Port Bill, which shut down all shipping into the city, effectively strangling its economy. But the laws went further, stripping Massachusetts of its self-government and replacing elected officials with Crown appointees. Furthermore, They decreed that any British official accused of a capital crime would be sent back to England for trial, ensuring they would never face justice in the colonies. But the Crown's vengeance had the opposite effect. These intolerable acts were the final outrage. They didn't isolate Boston, they galvanized the other colonies. The colonists realized they were seeing their own future reflected in the suffering of Massachusetts. Food, supplies, and money poured into Boston from New York, Virginia, and the Carolinas. The rebellion was no longer a local Boston protest, it was the unifying cause of all America. This realization led directly to the formation of the First Continental Congress in Philadelphia, the moment the colonies truly began to act as one sovereign body, setting the stage for the Declaration of Independence. The Boston Tea Party was not a prank. It was a calculated, powerful declaration that the colonists would never surrender their right to self-government. This single, defiant night in Boston Harbor was the impossible choice that forced a peaceful protest into a revolutionary war, forever forging the United States. Next time on The Unpacked History, we examine the unbelievable sacrifice of the Continental Army and the genius of George Washington that turned a failing cause into ultimate victory.